So, Ragiroth do what?
Ragiroth Enterprises.
Music in this game is boner friggin' rific. The new songs are awesome, especially Studiopolis and Press Garden Zone. The remastered versions of old acts are great as well. And of course, the remixes are pretty nice as well. Yeah, it's a pretty terrible attempt at DJing. I'm sorry, but not really meant to be DJ'd on. Alright, so after Hydro City we got Mirage Saloon Zone. This was another new level that was actually announced before the game came out. Now I have to say this level is probably my least favorite of the new levels. However, that's like saying that this pizza store's pizza isn't quite as good as these three other pizza stores. Like, it's still friggin' good. But it's basically a new desert style level, and I think it has references of a level that never made it in, I think, Sonic CD or Sonic 2 called Dust Hill Zone, and but mixed with like more of a saloon style, and the boss of this level is Heavy Magician, or as I call him, Sunny Side Up. No, but the level is very fun, and it's something that hasn't really been done that often, you know, this desert style level. I feel like it's a style I don't see much aside from maybe like games like Red Dead Redemption. This is obviously a much lighter take on it. There are some pretty interesting references to other characters from other games, and very obscure characters, might I add. The Heavy Magician actually uses Knack the Weasel, Bark the Polar Bear, and Bean the Dynamite as illusions to fight against you. Oh, we should also notice that Sonic and Tails actually have a very different first act than Knuckles does. Yeah, that's one thing I was meaning to mention. Knuckles actually has some differences in his versions of the stages than the other two, which is a nice callback to Sonic 3, and I did not expect that. I did not expect them to go that extra mile. I thought it was really cool. I mean, Act 1 for Mirage Saloon with Knuckles, it has completely different music. The Sonic version, or Sonic Tails version, is more of kind of outlaw, Wild West chase theme to it, while Knuckles sounds kind of like a mix of like, I don't know, it reminds me of something like Will Smith would have done like in the 90s or something, I don't know, but like a Wild West style. Yeah, I definitely like it more with Knuckles. I would actually maybe say it's not my least favorite zone in the game if you're playing as Knuckles, or at least favorite new zone in the game. And yeah, the sub-boss is still kind of the same with Knuckles. It's just in a grounded setting as opposed to in the air, kind of like his Marble Garden Zone boss fight, I guess, from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. But yeah, no, great level, great type of theme, great music. Can't really complain, even if it's my least favorite new level. So on to the next one. So the next zone is, hold the fucking phone, Oil fucking Ocean Zone? Seriously? Man, the look on my face when I saw this level, as you can probably tell, this zone was not revealed before the game came out. This was definitely one of the surprises I was talking about. At least for me. I don't really know how other people feel about the zone, but as a kid, I always really liked it. It was a bit of a pain, but I don't know, I always just thought it was really cool and not terribly hard. The first act is mostly the same, with maybe one of the biggest key differences is that weird, interesting submarine part near the end. And the sub-boss, or as I call him, Mr. Fix-It, or Mr. Breaks-It. Act 2 is where things get kind of crazy. The plant gets lit on fire, kind of in a Angel Island Act 2 style fashion. I wonder if that was a reference to that. And you sort of get a little bit of a time limit until you start losing rings because it's so damn hot, even if you get the fire shield. And you have to turn these kind of switches. Now, the scary thing is, this sort of reminded me of Sandopolis Zone Act 2. They even had the same switches. That level was brutal. First act of Sandopolis was fine. It was the second act that was just poopy. Mostly because of the ghost chasing you and just running out of time. To me, I know other people have said this one's hard, and it was a little challenging, but I got through it relatively easy. The boss can be a little bit of a pain, especially with Knuckles, because he can't jump as high. But I don't know, I guess I usually found the switches relatively easy and was able to hold on to my rings, and I guess maybe I kind of got lucky by being able to hold on to the fire shield. That's another thing I should mention. I'm really happy that elemental shields are back. That was, something I feel like a lot of newer games neglect. Even Sonic Generations, when they brought them back, they weren't really normally in the zones. You had to do like kind of special missions that featured them. I just like how they're regularly in the zone, and I love how they interact with the environment. Like with the Oil Ocean Zone, you fucking light the oil on fire if you run through it. That was crazy. And same with those like rotating thorn sticks in Green Hill Zone that I forgot to mention. They light on fire. And like Flying Battery Zone, you get magnetized to those electric fields if you had the electric shield on. Just really cool touches. But no, even the Oil Ocean Zone was kind of a pain. I still love it. It's one of my favorite levels in the game. I was just really happy they picked it. It kind of, it basically negated my complaint about them picking Chemical Plant Zone. So I basically got my two favorite Sonic 2 levels in the game. Wow, it's kind of weird that both Sonic 2 levels in the game are both my favorites. They're both tied to like plants and refineries and chemical-like things. It's just a strange observation that I never noticed that Sonic 2 had both those types of levels. Huh. I guess the developers back then went to a lot of plants or something for inspiration. I don't know. But anyway, very nice treat in my opinion at least. Moving on to the next one. So wow, two nice treats in a row. Lava Reef Zone from the Sonic and Knuckles half. So we had two levels from Sonic and Knuckles. Actually, technically three from the whole Sonic 3. It's funny because Lava Reef Zone, I always kind of liked it. But I was just thinking, like, I guess midway through playing Sonic Mania, I'm like, you know what? It would be kind of cool if Lava Reef Zone was in this game. And wow, lo and fucking behold, it made it in. Now, this one has some slight changes to the first act. I know, like, they have those kind of keep-out fences. I like that it's more of, like, a volcanic site. With, I guess, like, that people set up things around, as opposed to just being, like, I guess a random volcano. I like the thing is this level, it's very forgiving, but also not forgiving at the same time. There's a lot of brutal things that can kill you, and a lot of annoying things. However, they give you so many rings and give you so many opportunities for, like, lives and stuff like that. It is interesting how it, and shields. It is interesting how it bounces out. Oh, I do like that there's more speed parts to this level. One of my probably complaints with Lava Reef Zone initially is I feel like it was just a little too slow. But I always liked it, and I am glad it came back. I actually do have to say this is probably another level like Mirage Saloon where I think it's overall better with Knuckles. Mainly the second half. Because he actually has a completely different boss he fights than Sonic and Tails does. Sonic and Tails fight Heavy Biker, I think, the purple one. And but Knuckles actually fights, I guess, basically the main villain of the game, Egg King. And there's even references to the Hyper Mecha Sonic fight from Sonic 3 and Knuckles. And I also love that there's a little bad drawing of Knuckles remembering what Robotnik did to him and did to him in Hidden Palace Zone. And I also think it's nice that Hidden Palace is kind of in it. But no, Lava Reef Zone, Act 2 was pretty cool. There's some slight differences to it. I just love that it has more of that kind of factory look to it. I don't know, I just really like industrial levels. They're just really cool and fascinating to me. And I always like that Sonic had kind of more, I guess edgier sort of themes to his levels than like Mario did. I guess that's the word, the word I can think of. But no, it was great to see Lava Reef Zone back. Probably not one of my favorite levels in the game, but still enjoyable to play through. But yeah, I think I do overall. It definitely felt a little more satisfying with Knuckles because I feel like, I don't know, Heavy Biker, I think was just, the way it was just a little too silly for how the second act of Lava Reef Zone was going, and I think Heavy King was just a better fit for it in my opinion. Though I guess it would have been nice if you could fight Heavy Biker as Knuckles. I don't know if you really can. But anyway, alright, moving on to the next one. Okay, wow, so 3 for 3. Another interesting surprise. Now, I did not expect Sonic CD to get 2 levels. I almost didn't know if it'd get 1. But I got Metallic Madness as well. This I definitely didn't see coming. I don't know if Metallic Madness is my favorite level next to Stardust Speedway from Sonic CD. That would probably be maybe Quartz Quadrant. But hey, Metallic Madness is still pretty cool. I always liked its music as well, and I figured it works well for a late game stage. I mean, should. It was the last level in Sonic CD. And it's interesting that it's actually not the last level this time, but the second to last level. I think it's actually kind of, probably because it's similar to Metropolis Zone from Sonic 2, which is, in a way, the second to last level, because it's the last standard type zone. And I actually might like Metallic Madness a little more than Metropolis, and honestly. It's also similar to Scrap Brain Zone, I guess, which was the last level in Sonic 1, but whatever. But I mean, it's cool to see Metallic Madness back. I don't think it wasn't, thankfully it wasn't quite as brutal as it was in Sonic CD. I know one interesting thing they did was they added to, there's this like flipper thing that'll send you in the background, and you'll be playing in the background of the stage, and as opposed to kind of the foreground. Otherwise, it's not that drastically different. Interestingly enough, the sub boss is actually the last boss from Sonic 1, I guess. However, like Sonic 2 boss in Green Hill Zone, you actually get fucking rings this time, thank God. Nothing too crazy about, nothing too crazy new about this level. I think I overall liked it more though than in Sonic CD. Just the design is better. And they still have the shrink ray, which is, I guess cool, just I guess kind of annoying at the same time. And the boss is kind of funny. It's like a slot machine Robotnik, where you have to beat like little miniature versions of like him, like past incarnations of him, and like little robotic Amy. It actually kind of looks like the Tails doll, but Amy. Ugh. Yeah, no, I think it's a nice second to last level in the game. It wasn't as nice of a surprise as like Oil Ocean Zone or Lava Reef, but still very cool regardless. And I actually think the Act 2 music is maybe one of my favorite tracks in the game as a whole. So anyway, on to the next and final one. One other quick note, I was a little disappointed to see that Metallic Madness didn't utilize the past, future, and present thing from Sonic CD at all in this. I guess I can understand a bit more though, because I feel like the different versions of Metallic Madness weren't quite as significantly different or as memorable as Stardust Speedways were, so maybe that's why they kind of just stuck with one. And they did, I feel like they did kind of incorporate the other versions in there as well, like in the music and some other parts of the stage. But just a little nitpick, I guess. So now on to the last level, Titanic Monarch Zone. This was the one new level that we definitely did not know was in the game at all, and I guess why should we, because it's the last level. I don't want to spoil that. But I think aesthetically this level is really freaking cool looking. The funny thing is, when I first saw it, I actually thought it was kind of a more like a darker, corrupt version of a launch base zone from Sonic 3, which is I guess one thing that I liked about it. And I feel like it also might be maybe what the designers had in mind when they came up with the name Genocide City Zone from Sonic 2, which I think wound up just being Metropolis Zone Act 3. That's why that level randomly had 3 acts, because it does look like a city. And it's nothing to do with genocide. It is a very dangerous, I guess, type of city, and dark kind of city, which I think what they meant, I think they had in mind. They just didn't know English enough to, I guess, know the different kinds of words. But no, this level is definitely, and it's also interesting because I feel like most of the Sonic games, the final level is in space. At least I guess since Sonic 2 and maybe beyond. So I guess it is kind of nice, as much as I like being in space. That's right, this is one of the first Sonic games where I don't think you go to space at all. I don't think you do, at least. And it's something different, but I think the level is really cool, and it's not as much that hard. It's just that, like, I guess Lava Reef and Flying Battery, I guess sometimes the acts can kind of go on very long, and you might run out of time, especially when it's your first time doing the zone. Especially for Act 2, oh my god. And I thought those purple kind of energy things that kind of suck you around were actually really cool at first, but when I got to Act 2, I fucking hated them. And actually, they're actually reused assets from Sonic 3 and Knuckles from one of those mini games you could do to like just get rings and stuff. The only difference is they just changed the color or texture of it. I definitely noticed some things from the Sonic 3 version of Death Egg Zone. It was a tough level. I think it was more so a long level though. If I was younger, this level, when I was a little kid, if I was a little kid and I did this level, it would probably give me some issues. But I guess just being older, and understanding the game more, just able to get around. And the last boss is cool. Not maybe the craziest or coolest last boss in the Sonic game, but it is pretty neat, and it gave me a little bit of challenge. I mean, maybe I died like once or twice. I think if anything, it's dealing with the hard bullet heavies and losing rings and then not being able to get the rings back if you get teleported back to the room with Robotnik, which was kind of tough. But yeah, no, I think it is a really cool last level. I guess I like that it wasn't too challenging, and I really like I like the idea of it. It's something a little different. I guess it's more so of a reference to the Heavy King, because he's more of a monarch than I guess Robotnik is. And the music is pretty cool. It's not my favorite, it's not my favorite in the game, but it's still pretty cool and atmospheric and eerie, and definitely showing that you're near the end of the game now. So I guess that's it for all the zones rundown. I will be honest, even though I've beaten the game with both Sonic and Knuckles, I haven't actually gotten all the emeralds yet. I'm working on it. It's tough. There's two types of special stages in the game. There's the blue sphere ones, which you actually get from checkpoints if you have enough rings. This isn't for getting true endings. This is for getting medals to unlock cool features, which I thought was really nice. And yeah, some of them are really tough. I haven't got all of them yet either. I'm working on that, but maybe about halfway there. And then the actual special stages to get the emeralds, I think 4 for each character: Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles. 3 actually. I'm on the 4th one. And they're really cool special stages, but they are pretty tough. And it's like you don't have constant access to them, so they're kind of a mix of, I guess, Sonic CD, Blue Sphere, then maybe Sonic 2's a little bit. Also reminds me of Sonic Heroes a little bit. But yeah, I mean, to also add, the game's graphics are great. I mean, it's Genesis game graphics, but those graphics never age to me. I guess that's one of the beautiful things about 2D games. They age better than I think 3D games sometimes. And obviously, like I've said before, music fantastic. I love that a lot of the sound, they use pretty much all the old sound effects and with some new ones or maybe some altered versions of old ones. Feels and plays like an old Sonic game. Nothing wrong with controls at all. Sonic got a new move called a drop dash. It's kind of like he could start a spin dash in air and then go right off when you hit the ground. But there was just so much like care and love and thought put into this game. Such cool little references to other games and just doing the zones right and maybe even better than they were before. In some ways, it's better than maybe like Sonic 3 Knuckles. I mean, I guess for negatives, I don't really have that much, honestly. I guess maybe some nitpicks, like some of the zones have like actual story transitions, like Sonic 3 Knuckles had, and some of them don't. The screen just goes to black and then you go to the next zone. I guess they might have done this for a couple reasons. One was since the game is kind of like a mix of Sonic 1 and 2 and 3, Sonic 1 and 2 didn't do it, so maybe they're like, we'll have a Sonic 1 or 2 transition here, Sonic 3 Knuckles here. Or maybe they just felt they were limited and they would be limiting themselves because they wouldn't be able to think of how you would get to like from Stardust Speedway to Hydro City Zone. But the thing is, there's a whole thing with time-space warp that Robotnik does at the end of some levels, so I mean, you just make the argument there, but again, it's just a nitpick, not that really big of a deal. I do think it's kind of dumb that some of the things you can unlock for getting the medals for like Sonic, like the peel out and the Insta Shield you can only use in the no save file. I don't understand the logic behind there. Hopefully maybe they'll patch it. I don't really think they're cheap moves or anything like that. And I guess they did reuse a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I mean, I kind of like it. I think if you're an old fan, you'll appreciate it. I think if you're a new fan, it's like, why do you care? Yes, I would have liked to see maybe more new zones. However, the zone selection was so great, I can't really be that mad at it. And they did make some good changes to the old zones. I feel like there may be more for Sonic Mania too. They focus more on new zones. And then I guess, well, I shouldn't have expected from this game, but one thing I would like them to kind of do in the future of Sonic Mania, assuming it becomes a thing, I hope it becomes a thing, I think they should introduce more elements from games past the Genesis era. Like, I would love to see, like, levels from Sonic Adventure, like, 1 and 2 and Heroes, and maybe even 06 in some cases. Like, remixed in, you know, a Genesis style, with, like, Genesis-style music. That was kind of done in Generations, but I think it'd be more authentic to see it done in an actual Genesis-style game. But I think the graphics are even better than Genesis style, because I think especially the sprites, they're a little more crisp looking, and there's more animation to them, I noticed. And like, I personally would like to play as some newer characters that were never in the Genesis style game, in this kind of game. Like, I'd really like to play as Shadow, Silver, Blaze, I'd say SBO, but he was actually Knuckles Chaotix, and that was he's a 32X game. I do unfortunately think if they were to add more characters, they'd probably only focus on characters from like the Genesis or 32X era. So that'd probably mean they'd add like Amy. Well, maybe they'd add like Metal Sonic or SBO, which would be fantastic. And then where in the hell they have models for like Mac and Bean and Bark. Why not make them playable? You know, I think a lot of people hate on the newer characters for the games they appeared in for their personalities, but you know, the former is just silly because if they appear in a good game, you're not gonna mind. And secondly, I mean, with the personalities, there's no dialogue in these games. Why would it matter? You complain that Shadow's too edgy and Ag's too edgy. Well, you're really not gonna get much of that in this style game. Like, yeah, maybe in his poses or something, but that's it. And just have these characters be optional, just like Tails and Knuckles were in this game. And you know what? I am actually looking forward to Sonic Forces. I feel like a lot of people are putting that game down, and Sonic Mania isn't really helping. But I think it still looks like a good game, and I feel like people forget that, you know, the more better recent Sonic games, the Unleashed style using the Hedgehog engine, that's what Sonic Forces is. So I don't understand why this time it's so much worse. I think the character creation thing, I think is actually a cool idea. I think a lot of people are hating on the game for that, but I think that's a really dumb thing to hate about the game. I would rather, that actually helped me made me more hyped for the game, because I like Sonic. He's a cool character, but I'm sorry, compared to some of the other characters in his games, to me he's just a little boring. I'd much rather at least have the option of Tails and Knuckles. And at least with a creative character, you know, maybe I can make like a character that somewhat resembles Shadow, or like, you know, Blaze or whatever. And you know, and I think that is one thing I will also definitely give this over Generations. I mean, I like Generations, but I would rather have the option to be Tails and Knuckles, at least Knuckles. I'm not really a huge Tails fan, over than just two Sonics. Generations, it was okay now. It's a little like, yeah, and I definitely really hope that Sega lets, you know, the guys, you know, Christian Whitehead and the other guys that I think are headcanon, just keep making Sonic Mania games or just Genesis style games. I think people will be really happy with that. But do I think they should keep making 3D Sonic games? Absolutely. You know, you can say what you want about the 3D games. I still think, especially when they're the Unleashed Hedgehog engine, they're still fun. But please, Sega, just keep them like that. Just stop trying to reboot the Sonic games. Just make them, just base them off the Unleashed engine. That's what works. That's what people at least kind of like. Just make a Sonic Mania. Have them do Sonic Mania. And then have you guys do the 3D games. I think everyone will be happy. Well, okay, as much people as you can make happy in this crazy ass fan base. But I think for what I'd give this game, I think I'm gonna give this game 2 scores. One for Sonic fans, one for maybe non-Sonic fans or newcomers. I think for Sonic fans, I'm gonna give it a 9.5. I'm sorry if you don't like this game, and you're a Sonic fan, at least from the Genesis days. There's no pleasing you. I'm sorry, but this game is phenomenal. It's definitely my favorite game that came out last month. One of my favorite games this year. I would maybe recommend getting it for the Nintendo Switch. That's what I got it for. That's why I couldn't capture it. But if you have PS4, Xbox One, sure it's still fine on that. I just think it's, you know, a more Nintendo-oriented system, being that retro style and cartoony, and, you know, being able to do portable to game like that is convenient too. As a score for non-Sonic fans or newcomers, I'll say 8.5. You know, a lot of the references and cool things might be kind of lost on you, but still a great platformer. So, I think that's it for this review. Sorry if it went on a bit long, you know, and then I know the Final Fantasy 15 was pretty long as well. But I really like this game. You know, I hope they continue doing it. So, you know, yeah. Don't forget to check out Monarch in the description below. Hit comment, subscribe, dislike if you dislike. It's free country. But as I always say, another time, another place, and keep being awesome. You know what? I'm gonna do one more for the road. Well, that's enough of that. See you, everybody.